So The Last of Us Season 2 just came out. I'm a very big fan of zombie games and I loved the story of the first game. The second game was a mixed bag but still good nonetheless. It had its problems without a doubt, but when HBO announced that The Last of Us will be renewed for Season 2, I hope that it will be able to take the game's complicated story and make it better, giving me context to certain scenes and fleshing out story arcs that some characters desperately needed. So I watched the first episode of The Last of Us Season 2 and I really liked it. It gave me exactly what I wanted from The Last of Us game. More context, more fleshed out character scenes, and more scenes of Joel and Abby before they finally meet. And for the sequence that was at the very end of the game, one of my favorite scenes from the game ever, to be at the very beginning, something that they should have done in the game. One of the main problems of the second game for me was the lack of characters establishing their ground in the game. Given the context of part 2, we haven't seen Ellie and Joel since 2013, so for part 2, people wanted the game to focus on their relationship and what they'd be doing this time around. So when people started playing the game, and we barely get to see any Joel and Ellie before he dies, fans were not happy. So I appreciate the show giving Joel more time establishing his relationship with Dina and the scenes of him in therapy. Having Joel directly talk to someone he's affected with his actions shows that he is trying to be a better person and is facing his consequences, giving an established reason for why he appeared softer in the game when he saved Abby. When The Last of Us fans know he would have never done that in the original game. This is why context matters, people. Other sequences like Ellie encountering the Stalker for the first time, changing it up so that the Cordyceps is evolving, making new forms of infected, was a really nice change I never thought they'd add, but it's a welcome addition. I love the little details they added in this episode, like the bottle throwing sequence, the dog picture, even though it wasn't the same dog, but whatever. The things with Abby establishing her and her crew right off the bat was a very bold choice in my eyes. One of the main story themes of the second game was perspective. We go through the entire first half of the game from the perspective of Ellie, and it's only when we finally find Abby again is where we start to see things from her perspective and why she does what she does. So the choice to work around it so that we see almost entirely why Abby and her crew go after Joel was a mixed bag in my eyes. But after giving it thought, it makes complete sense to me. A part of the reason why The Last of Us 2 was hated by fans was because of how they portrayed Abby. We didn't get a chance to know her and her motivations earlier on, so by the time we finally get to, people were already taken out of it. And some people just blatantly didn't care to know by the time they ended up learning. So at the very least, them establishing why they're out to get Joel was something I definitely would have preferred in the game, and a very nice way to establish her and her group and why they do what they do, and making it easier for general audiences to understand what's going on, because this show makes it very clear that Joel is not the greatest person out there. They didn't portray Joel saving Ellie as a heroic, selfless act. He's portrayed as, while understandingly so given what we know of him, the decision is ultimately selfish to everyone else. I like Jackson being a central focus in this episode, as it appears to be a central point for the entire season, making me believe that they're going to change things up from the game entirely to fit this new vision that they could be going for. Overall, I really liked the episode, and I hope that the rest of the show is as good as this episode, and hopefully this season makes the most out of Joel while we still have him. Good episode, and hopefully a good season of The Last of Us. But that's just my opinion. So what are yours?